Ladies, gentlemen, and everything in between, it's the event you've all been waiting for. The most anticipated electronic competition of
current year
is finally here. Many computers dream of participating, but tonight, we present a hand-picked selection of 64 different computers, all hoping to be crowned champion of the ultimate startup race. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Tech House with an idea so ridiculous that everyone thought I was crazy for thinking this was a good idea. Probably. Welcome to Season 4 everybody, and we're kicking things off with a competition that involves pretty much all of my computers. The premise is simple. Which one starts the fastest, and which one starts the slowest. I'll boot everything up, and I'll cut the timer when it finishes loading to the desktop. As with any good competitions though, I've established some ground rules. I'll allow past Superstar to explain for me. I'm going to tell you the rules real quick, because any fair competition has its rules. Rule number 1, computers must use a desktop operating system. No mobile devices, game consoles, or other odd devices may compete. Figure game consoles start up in like 20 seconds, so hell, some consoles you flip the switch and you immediately in the game. I didn't think that'd be very fair, so we're just doing computers, no mobile devices. There's not a whole lot of control I have over mobile devices anyway. Like there's a lot of variables with desktop computers, not so much with this sort of thing. Rule number 2, I must currently have easy access to the computer. Some computers are in locations that I don't feel like traveling to obtain them right now, so they have all been disqualified. In fact, they're not even on my list here. Rule number 3, computers must be fully functioning and boot from internal storage. Rule number 4, computers must not be an active server. Rule number 5, in order to qualify for the race, computers must be able to complete their startup process in 5 minutes or less. So if it takes more than 5 minutes to start up, it's disqualified. Rule number 6, automatic login must be enabled during the race. Not all of my computers have automatic login turned on at the moment, so during the race, all of those will be disabled and they'll just go straight into the desktop. And then rule number 7, this is less of a rule and more of a general piece of information. Computers will race in appropriate circuits as well as one final overall race, which is going to be unfair as hell. Got all that? Good. Now, there were 64 competitors that qualified, and if you're curious about each computer's qualifying time and pre-race placement, you could check the blog post on my website. This video will be covering all the vintage computer categories, and since I don't have time to introduce all the competitors, I'll instead present you with some highlights. The highest placing computer in this category after the qualifying rounds was a 2000 IBM ThinkPad running Windows Millennium Edition with a Dell Dimension 4600 staring it down. It knows that the IBM had an easy run with the login screen enabled, and it desperately hopes for a choke that allows it to take the lead. Below it is an older sibling, the Dell Dimension 4550, looking on and praying for a chance to sneak past and take the crown from both competitors. Meanwhile, the older of the near-identical Panasonic Toughbooks is looking to prove that it can do better in the final run, and the newest computer in the category, an HP tablet from 2005, looks to prove that it belongs on this racetrack at all, after finishing dead last in pre-race rankings. Who will take the vintage PC circuit? Once I press the button, they're all on their own. And we are off to the races, starting everything up at the same time. You can already see some of the computer's boot screens coming in here. Mr. BIOS up in the corner, Packard Bell, Compaq, a couple Panasonics here. I'm already seeing some Windows XP and a Windows Millennium Edition startup screen. Windows is starting up on some of the laptops here. The Windows 98 tablet's going along. Looks like the Dell Dimension is already about to start up. I hear the startup sound. Ooh, I hear Windows 95 booting up on that Panasonic too. And it looks like the Dell Dimension is done at the fastest time. Right behind the Panasonic Toughbook up there. I'm just hearing a barrage of startup sounds right now. Looks like the 2 Packard Bells are done, and so is the IBM ThinkPad. And the Windows XP tablet is already done. Panasonic has got done. That Dell Dimension is done. Windows 98 and 2000 tablets are done. It looks like Compact is almost done. And it is done. Alright, we are waiting on an HP Pavilion, Penny, and the old Windows 2000 Gateway to start up here. I see some mouse cursors. Looks like Penny is getting to that point as well. I hear the Windows 98 sound. Just like to hear those for a little bit. And it looks like the HP is done. And it looks like Penny and the Gateway are done at right about the same time. I'd first like to mention that none of these computers have SSDs installed, so this test was actually one of the most fair you'll see in this whole series. Second, congratulations to the Dell Dimension 4600 for taking a circuit with an improved time over the pre-race run. Surprisingly, the older Panasonic swept in with a 2nd place finish, while the IBM dropped all the way to 4th, missing the podium altogether. Goes to show that pre-race rankings really don't matter much after all. The HP tablet, after changing some settings before running the race, ended up claiming 7th in the circuit, and while I'm curious to see where it'll end up in the final race with all 64 competitors, I'm a little surprised that Penny did so bad, only beating out my grandpa's old Gateway by about a second. But I think the GPU BIOS taking so long to load, combined with the system for some reason wasting many precious seconds trying to start the Windows bootloader, is the cause of this. Thankfully, I think gaming PCs have moved past those days, especially since most of them have been booting from SSDs for over a decade now. There's some elite competitors that have qualified for the circuit that all of you know and love. The PowerMac G5, the Macintosh centrist that started the entire series, and of course, the iMac G5, who's looking for some kind of win after being completely embarrassed last time it showed up on the series. Unfortunately for them, there's some new kids in town that look to prove themselves in this competition, and some old blood that's been waiting for years to finally have their chance in the spotlight. The highest qualifier in this circuit happened to tie with the winner of the Vintage PC circuit, but with the Dimension's improved time, it seems that the tie will finally be broken by the end of this. One of the strongest showings, despite its low placement in the qualifying chart overall, happened to come from the Power Macintosh 8600, a computer that has yet to make a proper appearance in this series, and it hopes to look even better amongst the rest of the field. Will the 8600 finally prove that it deserved to be more than just a cameo? Will the avenged spirit of my original iMac G4 bring its successor to victory? Will the iBook G3 clamshell finally have something to be proud of before Alzheimer's finally takes out the hard drive? Let's find out. Alright, we're starting everything up again at the same time. Oh, I can already hear the 8600 starting up, the iBook's coming in, iMac G4's coming in, everything else is starting to come in right about the same time. 7100 and the Centra 660 AV are in, and everything except for the PowerBook G3 is in now. Now it looks like Tiger's almost done already on that iMac G4, and it is already finished. And it looks like the iMac G5 is not far behind it. Other than that, you can see some OS 9 boot screens, 8.6. Tiger just got finished on the PowerMac G5 there, and the G4 Mini, and the PowerBook G4. Actually, that was running Panther. Should be able to catch our breaths here for a little bit. Looks like the iMac DV just finished, and so did the iMac G4, the newer one. Looks like the eMac's done. iMac G3 is done. The other iMac G3 is done, and so is the Macintosh LC. PowerMac G4 is done. Both of the iBooks just finished, and we are left with 3 competitors. Looks like the PowerMac G4 is almost done there, and it is finally finished. And not far behind it is the PowerBook G3. The PowerMac G3 is still chugging along nicely. And it looks like the PowerBook G3 is just about done. And the PowerMac G3 is still on the macOS loading screen. And it looks like we just got the desktop there. Menu bar showing up, time showing up. We're just waiting on the icons. Eventually. Any day now. Yeah, maybe SCSI drives don't exactly produce the best startup times. Especially when they're loaded with graphic design work, but it looks like everything is just about loaded in here. And indeed it has, with a final time of 236.7. Well, it looks like the tie was in fact broken, and the iMac G4 ended up running just a bit slower. Still though, it took this category by just a hair, with the iMac G5 finishing right behind it. Evidently, Tiger was the most desirable OS to run in this race, taking 4 of the top 6 spots. One of the systems that wasn't happened to be the PowerMac 8600, improving its time by nearly 20 seconds, as well as finishing its post faster than the rest of the field. The other happened to tie with the 5th placer at 46 seconds, and unfortunately this tie will not be broken because I don't feel like doing a tiebreaker run. Perhaps they can run as a tag team duo in the final race or something. As for the PowerMac G3, I made a comment in the original video in regard to how long it took to start up when I first tested it, and evidently things haven't improved. Perhaps it's unfair to run the thing with its original OS install, but that's just how the system is. The other system that truly disappointed me was the mirror drive door PowerMac G4, and perhaps when I do the Jaguar or Panther LTOS, I'll make a note of how slow Jaguar really is, because I have that OS installed on the eMac, the 03 iMac G4, and even the PowerMac G5. All 3 of those systems qualified better with their alternative OS, which truly blew me away with the iMac G4 because I installed Leopard on it, an OS that's traditionally slower on PowerPC machines. At least you guys got to see it at all though, since I don't think Jaguar gets much love these days anyway. One last thing too, the iBook G3 clamshell unfortunately placed all the way back in 17th, meaning it won't have much of a legacy with its original hardware. Perhaps soon I'll explore options for replacing the hard drive with something better, but for now I think it just needs to take a rest in the retirement home. Well, unfortunately, it seems the Dell Optiplex 380 that I intended to race in this video decided to die on me randomly, right before I was about to race it. Kind of unfortunate. This computer used to work really well, and now it doesn't work at all. I'll have to figure out what's wrong with it at some point. Which unfortunately means that we do not have any alternate computers to race in its place. So we'll be down to 63. Except we won't be at all. Yeah, so I just happened to get this 2013 Mac Pro right before, actually right after I launched the last video. So instead of that one, apparently, I wasn't planning to race the trash can, but we're gonna race the trash can now as a late entry and a fast-tracked in entry. So hopefully it does well. It seems to be doing well so far. Of course, it's not gonna be in the middle category, it's gonna be in the modern category, but we'll still have the final 64 computers in the race. So stay tuned for that, and let's get back to the rest of the video. So as it turns out, there are only 6 computers that fit this category, so this time I'll actually introduce all of them before I start the race. Somehow, the dying spirit of my very first computer was able to give me both a qualifying time as well as a full run in the race. Meanwhile, the HP Pavilion my great-grandmother used to use allowed AMD systems to get some representation in this category. My very first laptop, which has gone through quite a few different operating systems over the years, has finally come back with Windows Vista, the system where it all began for it. And it's brought its father Acer to race alongside it. Finally, the laptop I used to live stream with many years ago, and the laptop that basically started this channel, round this category off with just about the best that the Core 2 era has to offer. With so few competitors, all of which hailing from around the same time, the results are likely to be much closer than expected. So who among them will take the crown? Let's find out. And we're off again. It looks like the Dell Latitude is already on the startup screen, with my first computer starting up behind it and everything coming in right about after. Acer boot screen came in for just a split second there. Got the Windows boot screen coming in on most of them here. Most of them are running Windows Vista, some of them Windows 7. Oh, I hear the Windows Vista boot sound on the Latitude there. And on most of the others there. Just waiting on that gateway laptop to come in. Looks like the Dell XPS is in. And it looks like the Dell Latitude is done. And the Acer is right behind it. Looks like Great Grandma's computer is just about done there. The gateway is about done here. The XPS is in, and now it's all coming back down to my very first computer. And there you go. It's right now on the desktop. With a final time of 117.1. Well, that one didn't take very long. I shouldn't be surprised at my Latitude one, considering it used to be a gaming computer of mine. The Studio XPS probably would have done a bit better if I used a fresh copy of Windows 7, or maybe even Vista, since earlier units did ship with that. Speaking of Windows Vista, it seems to have overrepresented this category. Windows 8.1 probably could have spiced it up with some variety, but I guess we'll never get to see that reality. I'm just glad my first computer got into the race, because it almost got excluded too after hard crashing multiple times on or before reaching the desktop. The race you're about to see represents just about the entire range of Mac computers in the early Intel era, everything from a low-end Mac Mini all the way to the top-end Mac Pro. One of the most impressive showings in the qualifying round was actually the 2006 MacBook Pro, clocking in at just 17.3 seconds, but we'll see if it can hold on to that time now. Not far behind it were the 2006 iMac and MacBook with the Core 2 Duo, but they still rely on older mechanical hard drives as opposed to the SSD the MacBook Pro has installed. The 2009 iMac we saved a few months back from the brink of total data loss is also back to show how it's feeling better than ever. But who's feeling the best? Who will take this circuit? Let's find out. And pretty much all of the systems start up right about the same time. There comes the Mac Pro, everything is in now. A lot of Apple screens that look about the same. Looks like that iMac is already done, as well as that Black Book over there. Got some more systems coming in here. Ooh, we have a tie. The 08 iMac is in. 09 Mac Mini is in. And the 09 iMac is in. Both those 08 MacBooks are in, and it looks like the 2006 MacBook is almost done there, and it is done. Wow, that went by quickly. I don't know if I've ever seen a shorter race in my life. Closest thing would probably be some kind of drag race. The MacBook Pro completely lost the crown to the Core 2 iMac, proving that the SSD alone can't save an otherwise lower spec computer. Surprisingly, the Mac Mini ended up beating out the Mac Pro, although if the Mac Pro would have started at the same time as everything else, it probably would have swept some of its competitors. I think for the same reason Penny takes so long to start up, the GPU has to kick in before the system can finish post, and you can see that in the race with the delayed startup chime. Much like in the vintage Mac category, macOS 10 Tiger was the system to have, and you can really see the difference it makes on 2006 models. Not that these machines are particularly slow though, I'm predicting that all of them are going to do well in the final race, as they did in qualifying. Welcome to the final preliminary race, where expectations are higher than ever because we're racing the computers I actually use now. Granted, I allowed computers dating all the way back to 2010 to participate in this round, but with the 2010 MacBook Pro winning the qualifying round entirely, something special was clearly about to go down. None of those competitors had to face the trash can though, who was initially going to be left out of this race entirely, but had to fill in for the Dell Optiplex 380 and now has to prove its presence is justified. While some of the competitors have had less than impressive startup times in the qualifying run, we've seen throughout the races that just about anything is possible. So who will take this circuit? Let's find out. Sorry, I had to let that last one get in there. I didn't think I needed to commentate over that part. And it looks like the trash can's already done with the MacBook Pro right behind it, the 2014 one. Windows 8 just started. OS 10 Snow Leopard just started on the 2010 MacBook Pro there. Looks like my MacBook Pro just finished. My old MacBook Pro just finished. My current PC just finished. Wow, that happened really quickly there. Looks like my 2012 MacBook Pro finished. The HP Pavilion finished. And now we're just down to 2 competitors. And it looks like the next link idiot is already done with a time of 43 seconds on the dot. And now we're just left with Ubuntu, starting on that HP Pavilion up there. Still waiting, still loading. Looks like the circle just went away. Anytime now, you know, he got it. Wait on you, buddy. Yeah, when there's only one competitor left and it takes this long to start, it gets kind of boring over here, doesn't it? And it looks like it just now started with a final time of 126.5. So wait, you mean to tell me the computer I tried to deny ended up winning? Who would have possibly guessed? I'm sure running a lightweight version of OS 10 helped it quite a bit, but that's still crazy fast for a 2013 computer, and the lowest spec version of it at that. It was a tight race between it and the 2014 MacBook Pro, and I bet Mavericks would have pushed the MacBook over the edge if it was still installed. The wonders of SSDs, everybody. All of the top 7 computers were incredibly close to each other though, so much so I couldn't even catch my breath when I first saw the race go down. Also, that 2012 HP could bring down the rest of the circuit with that lengthy startup time. Yikes. That's not all though. We still have one more race to go, the one I'm sure you've all been waiting for. It's time for the main event, the ultimate startup race. That looks like Tiger's almost done already with an iMac G4, and it is already finished. And it looks like the Dell Latitude is done. And it looks like the trash can is already done with the MacBook Pro right behind it, the 2014 one. And it looks like the Dell Dimension is done with the fastest time. But it looks Looks like everything is just about loaded in here. And indeed it has, with a final time of 2:36.7.